Welcome to the Shyamcast. This is Brett.
This is Shyam.
Thanks so much for being here with us. How's it going today, Shyam?
How's it going? I think busy.
Mm,
Nowadays, life is becoming more busier than it was early in Krishna house.
mm,
I think more responsibilities.
mm,
But I love it. I love being very busy.
mm. Very good. Yeah, I'm sure no shortage of things to do.
No shortage of things to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally feeling warm again.
Yeah.
We were just
Yeah.
talking a little bit off camera about Krishna Community Center just lost heat for a short period of time. But it just so happened that it was like a particularly cold week. So
Mm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. It got down to close to like zero at night, right? It was single digits at least. Uh, so yeah, glad to have the heat
feedback.
back. Um, you were saying something interesting. I think it's an interesting thing to note, um, that in India, while it doesn't get as cold as it does in Michigan,
Mm,
um, it's so hot in the summer and many other times of the year that, there's no furnace, there's no central heat, anything like that. So it'll get to, what, 40 degrees, maybe upper 30s, at the coldest. And you're just sort of, if you're there at that time, you're just sort of in that temperature, right? Um, which is a lot worse,
mm.
actually than what we have here.
Very austere, actually. I mean, our temperature within the building was 40, 45, but it
Mm.
was too difficult. And I was thinking that's how I grew up. But it's just now I'm used to a different environment. But yeah, it's
Yeah. I think Kieran Davey told me that there's like in one of the I guess there's basically no rule in India about making fires, so you can just like make a fire somewhere or pretty much anywhere you want one if it is a cold evening. Is that true, Proji?
yeah, you can make fire and there are no rules and regulations.
That's nice. So if it's too cold, you can just sort of start a fire wherever you are and get a little heat that way. But yeah.
I mean, it's little bit of work to do that. Just end up tolerating.
Yeah, it's austerity no matter how you spin it, I guess. So, would you want to get into the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. I was wondering, well, we're getting through chapter 5. We're going along, probably finish chapter 5 next time. Um, Action in Krishna consciousness. And I was just sort of wondering for whatever reason, do you have a favorite chapter?
Oh.
Oh,
I love
curveball.
chapter I love chapter 2 very much.
Mm, hmm. Yeah, the summary, Gita, contents of the Gita summarized.
Chapter 15 is very nice.
Mm.
I mean, I love every part of Bhagavad Gita though. Generally, the three modes and their explanations are very technical, but I like them.
Mm. Yeah. I know it's difficult to pick a favorite for
Chapter 9
sure.
is very nice.
Chapter 9, yeah. Yeah.
Good devotional sermons. There
Yeah.
are lots.
I'm not sure why that thought came to me, but I suppose we're getting, we're almost at chapter 6, and chapter 6 is sort of the mark of like the well, I guess often the Bhagavad Gita is split into three groups because there's
Mm,
18 chapters, and so every group of 6 chapters is sometimes thought of as a I don't know, maybe some sort of an individual unit or people group it that way anyway. So, as we're getting close to, we're talking about karma yoga, talked about a little bit about jnana yoga. Dhyan yoga is the next chapter. Bhakti yoga is sort of present throughout, but there's a chapter specifically,
mm,
chapter 12,
mm.
about bhakti yoga or devotional service. So, yeah, I suppose that for whatever reason that just came in mind. And I don't, I started wondering myself, what is my favorite chapter? And I don't know if I could say, I know I've heard other people say different things. Chapter 7, chapter
That,
9, both of those have a lot of really nice information and, you know, um,
yeah.
but yeah, the whole thing is inspiring, right? And
Yeah.
there's a quote on the back of the Bhagavad Gita as it is from Mahatma Gandhi that like, basically like whenever I feel lost, whenever I feel down, whenever I feel despairing, whenever I don't have hope, I just look in the Bhagavad Gita, you know,
Mm,
and it's like any verse, any line, any chapter you flip to can can flip your mood around. So, you know, very very nice quote, kind of shows how the power that Bhagavad Gita can have in anyone's life, just when you look at it. Um, so with that, Prabhuji, we're gonna talk about verse 526 today.
mm, mm,
So we're talking about a realize or Krishna is talking about realized people or sages. He's listing a lot of their qualities, you
mm,
know. I was kind of thinking chapter 3 Karma Yoga is an explanation of Karma Yoga, sort of like what is this? The need for sacrifice, things like that. Um, talks about lust, like why is it so hard for us to live in this way? And
mm,
then chapter 5 gives a lot of more detail on what it's like to live in this way, like what it's like, what a person who lives in Krishna consciousness is
mm,
like, how they act, what their intention is, kind of
mm,
where they're acting from. And
mm,
so a lot of the verses in this chapter are sort of describing that person. So this one is also describing, I guess, is also a description of someone who's acting, in karma yoga, but also has kind of a hopeful message for
mm,
the rest of us at the end of it. So, um, 526. Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Yeah. Would you want it one more time?
mm. Yeah, let's read it again.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self realized, self disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future.
Mm, okay.
Mm. So, of all the things that it lists there, Proji, I think self realized is a very difficult thing. Uh,
Mm,
maybe to me, it seems like the hardest thing to be self realized.
mm,
Obviously, it's very difficult to have any of these qualities, free from
mm,
anger or free from material desires. But I guess that was one thought I had as I was reading this. It was like, if I maybe don't focus so much on being self-realized, I'm
mm,
not aware of what that is like. But if I can think, okay, don't be angry, you know, don't let anger take over the mind. Material desires sort of hold back from those. And then self-disciplined goes along with that, I think, right? Like following your schedule or like it goes I think it goes along hand in hand with, holding back from material desires, not sort of just jumping at um every time the mind like tells you to do something, not following its orders, trying to get your mind to follow your orders and just endeavoring for perfection. So like trying, endeavoring for perfection, not needing to be perfect, but
mm,
always trying to endeavor, to be the best you can be, always trying to grow and improve, and always seeking, seeking the highest. Um, Maybe there are moments in life when that seems doable anyway. Some of those things for some amount of time. And I guess it's just very hopeful that, you know, the final part of this verse, you're assured of liberation in the very near future, he says, which I don't, maybe he's talking like several hundred lifetimes or something is as the very near future. Uh, yeah, I guess you can't be too sure, but, um, anyway, yeah, Proji, that was one thought I had. Um, yeah, what do you think about this verse?
There are many things in the verse. So let's take some small piece of the verse at a time and then
For sure.
which one do you want to take first?
Well, the first part is someone who's free from anger.
Mm.
So that's the first thing that he mentions.
Mm. So Krishna mentions anger arises from attachments. Attachments arises from contemplation. Mind thinks, and now there is a subtle bond in the mind, which only we know, and Paramatma knows, and nobody else knows. That bond is formed because of contemplation. And now there is hankering, because bond is there, hankering. And unfulfilled hankering leads to either um, lamentation, unfulfilled. Um, the anger can be in gross form, the anger can be in subtle form. So, anger means really, really attached, really a lot of contemplation on that. Like, and the moment that breaks, goes like this. But if the hankering is controlled, if the attachment is controlled, then anger may not come, but still the hankering only remains. So that's why material desire, anger is like deep attachment to material desires that leads to anger, unfulfilled that leads to anger. But in general, material desires can be very, very subtle. If those desires are not fulfilled, may not lead to anger, but we can feel that it's there, it's there, it's there. So one who is free from those, wow. One who is free from those is actually already liberated soul. One who is free from those.
Mm.
And these desires can be gross or can be subtle.
Mm. So, gross desires, maybe, examples would just be you want something and you either don't get it
Mm,
or you don't get it in the way that you wanted it,
mm,
or you get it for a while and then it gets taken away.
mm,
All of those can cause anger. Trying to think of something that's more subtle. Maybe something like you don't like the way a person is behaving, or you just don't like some little thing, some way that they are speaking, something like that. There's just like a little bit of a frustration or something
mm,
in the back of
mm.
the mind where like I I guess yeah, it's like the attachment would be to how you want someone to be, or like I
Very,
only want to be around this kind of behavior. I don't like it when people do X, and
mm,
so that would also be an attachment. What do you think, Pravaji?
yeah. So gross one example was coming like especially many people have this dream of buying a house and then they are searching and they found a house and they are very excited about the house and some family member says man this is not a good deal or no I don't like it and suddenly it's like I really contemplated on this so much and now I don't get it. So it's like you contemplate, and attachment develops. It can be anywhere. Uh, Attachment to an object or a person is like working, working, working in that direction. And when that breaks, then it's like the anger can be in form of anger. Anger can be in the form of sadness. Anger can be external. Anger can be internal. Internal anger is just like I'm upset, or I'm just like I don't want to talk. It's just people express anger in different ways, but it's still the same thing. Or just very sad or like uninterested in anything, withdrawing, closing ourselves in a room. All these are like different forms of expressing the same anger. It's like gross things when they're not fulfilled.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like you mentioned that the more we contemplate something, the deeper that attachment becomes. And it's a I guess it's a fairly obvious thing actually when you think about it, you know, like we talk a lot about attachment,
Mm,
spiritual spiritual life. You hear the word attachment a lot, right? Um, but it's not a foreign concept or like some weird idea that you have to kind of get a hold of. It's really just the natural result, right? You think about something, you're attached to that, right? It keeps coming back, and the more you think about it, it's like this, the more it sticks to you. And that's just the natural result, right?
mm. And that's why, and it's hard. Okay, one thing is to become conscious of where my mind is dwelling. So, step one is to become conscious of that. Step two is not dwelling on that. Like understanding this is a flaw, that's where I'm becoming attached and I don't want to. Many of the times, we just don't want to give up our attachments, knowing that these are attachments. Just, just, it's okay. I know, but I need what I need.
Yeah, we like them. We like our attachments.
Like our attention. But it is that's why it's step one to be conscious and saying, okay, this is the cause of my bondage, and I don't want this. Wow, that itself means lot of progress, lot of sincerity, a lot of understanding, realizations to get to that step. And
Mm,
then comes to the point of whenever the mind, whenever and wherever the mind goes and dwells on the object of the senses, bring it back and focus on the self. Krishna says in sixth chapter, we will see. Wherever the mind goes, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. So slowly, if we don't expose ourselves to our attachment, slowly things starts to become loose. Those objects start losing their grip on us. They're like tight. So slowly they start to lose their grip on us. And then simultaneously, we need to cultivate a safe attachment. Mind is looking for some shelter always. That safe attachment can be reading, can be devotee association, where there is no material angle in that association, but it is really Krishna centered, purely Krishna centered association. And the other process of devotional service.
mm,
And it's a process.
mm. Yeah, so chanting, kirtan, deities,
Mm.
yeah, cooking prasad, right, offering food, yeah, many other things. So yeah, it's that is the obvious, I think, or that's sort of the question that naturally comes. You go, okay, if I don't listen to my attachments, you know, I'm trying not to follow them, you know, what do I do? And so those are all of the, you know, there's, I mean, there's many things. It's sort of like, even more broadly in karma yoga, you know, Krishna says, just do everything as a sacrifice for me, right? And so if one has that mentality, You know, like he says, you can just
Mm.
go about your life, you can do your work, you can take care of your family and do everything, you know, that you would normally, that one would normally do, that you would need to do. Um, but, you know, change the why behind it
Mm.
so that it's not a self-serving thing. Right?
Mm.
And yeah, that sort of clicks a little bit for me. And just as we're talking about anger and how anger does is it's a very self-serving emotion. It's sort of all based off of me and what
Mm.
I want and what I expect
Mm.
from others. You know, it's like what I expect the world to give me, you know. Um, and then there's like an outward display of maybe, well, maybe as you say, either an outward or an inward display of aggression, whether I show
Mm.
that to people or whether I keep that inside and it builds, you know, and I sort of start thinking about it more as time goes on. Um, but yeah, I guess that's the more you see that clearly, the more you, I guess, realize that that is an unwanted thing, that that is
Mm.
not something that I want. And so
Mm.
I suppose, therefore, whatever is causing this attachment is something that I want to keep more of a distance from.
Mm. Very difficult, certainly. Two things are coming to my mind. One is Kalakanta Prabhu's one statement. He gave a Bhagavatam class and he was quoting Lord Rishabdev. And Rishabdev says, even if, like, either a son or a dependent or anybody whom we are giving instructions, um, if they don't follow or if they don't do what is right, the role of one who is on whom they are dependent is to keep giving instructions without becoming angry.
Mm, mm,
So there is always a principle of well-wisher and compassion.
mm. Wow, yeah, that must be it must be difficult.
Yeah,
Like,
it's difficult.
you keep telling people things, you know, you're advising, like, and I mean, people don't do those things a lot of the time, right? Like, you give instruction, and like a lot of the time, people don't listen, you know. So it must be, I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, you could certainly speak to this, Proji, but I mean, yeah, it must be, well, let's say a good test, right?
Mm.
To stay
Why
patient.
why they are doing like this, or whatever the mind, it may not be expressed, but the mind, sometimes the mind may go into a cursing phase
Mm,
where nothing is happening. You see them, very nice, thank you so much, very happy, but mind may be cursing.
mm,
So that's a kind of aggression with it. So we have already become angry. We may be expert at not showing it. It's all there.
mm,
Comes towards anybody whom we are connected to, and they don't meet our expectations or what we want from them to do, or they're not, say, not reciprocal, not responding, not something, or not doing the things, whatever, and it just triggers. So it's like we are not telling them. So it's like one should give maybe instructions or guidance or help or assist or friendly or whatever. Keep keep that without becoming angry. Wow.
mm. You know, the closer we are to people, the more difficult that becomes as well,
uh,
right?
because the more uh, we are attached to them in a particular way now, we want them to act or behave or maybe to value us or maybe something. um, and there are more contemplations there now. There are more because the relationship is stronger. Somebody who is like neighbor and we don't know anybody there, we don't become angry at them whatever they do because we haven't contemplated.
Mm. Wow, yeah, the
That's
more you
said.
contemplate someone.
That's
Mm.
why it said like one son once, maybe for a husband, maybe wife, or maybe wife for a husband, or um, and it can be anything. We all have maybe at work somebody who is working for us. Maybe we all have those relationships somewhere or the other.
Mm. Yeah, I know I've been that person who didn't listen to people at different points in life.
It's not easy. I was thinking to keep doing that, keep serving them selflessly without becoming angry. Krishna is like that actually. See, in a way, he's closest to us, we are closest to him. With respect to loving relationship, also physical proximity, also in always actually. Um, but then he doesn't become angry at us, and he keep guiding us. Even if he reject, he doesn't become angry at us. So he is always our well-wisher. He never rejects us. It's amazing actually. We may reject people like this. He never rejects us.
Mm. Wow.
So
Mm.
that's a quality of a liberated soul. Even our spiritual master, um, like Srila Prabhupada also said one time that somebody did a blunder actually. Um, and they were purposefully stealing the money from the temple account and doing like very, very bad things. And Srila Prabhupada says, I reject you. Then he left. Then Prabhupada scolded. Then later on, one disciple asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, is he rejected now? Prabhupada head was down. Prabhupada said, no, I cannot reject anybody. But externally, he was like teaching a lesson and saying, but his internal mood was, I cannot reject anybody.
Mm.
Because there is this angle of society, good for the society and helping it. And then there is an angle of the heart of a pure devotee.
Mm. Mm. So inwardly, there's never any real anger there. There's never any rejection.
Krishna also
Mm.
kills Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, but internally the anger is not there. Internally he loves them and he gives them liberation. Externally he is fighting on a battlefield, but anybody who leaves the body seeing at them, he give them back to Godhead.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it's
there is an
actually a yeah great benefit to be killed by God.
ah. So externally Srila Prabhupada also and Lord also may do whatever is in the welfare of the society. But internally they have that the actually real compassion. Wow.
Mm. Mm.
A big problem, anger.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
we
Wow.
may not be so much like going on the street or let it overtake us deeply, but the subtle forms, it's there.
Mm.
It's manifested through the disturbance of the mind. Mind become disturbed sometimes. There's all different manifestations of anger.
Mm. And so the anger comes from attachment,
Mm.
right? And the next part of the verse is, this person is free from anger and free from material desires, free from material attachments. So there's no contemplation of the attachment to begin with that could cause the anger in this person, right? Who is who is then described as self-realized. So,
One thing I was thinking, one aspect on material desires or
mhm,
attachments. I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita today, and Srila Prabhupada describes it's in Adi Leela, second chapter. Um, Lord Chaitanya was the perfect renunciate. was the ideal renouncer, and he showed by his own example. But other than that, it is forbidden to renounce in this age. But Lord Chaitanya did that because he was ideal renouncer. Actually, Lord Chaitanya, there are six qualities of the Lord. One of them is renunciation. There is wealth, there is beauty, there is opulence, strength, fame, and then one of them is renunciation. So he's the ideal renouncer. And I was thinking, wow, we may renounce, but I was understanding today why it is forbidden in this age to renounce, in this age of Kali to renounce. Because age of Kali, it's just the mind is like very hard to renounce. Just the effect of mode of passion, ignorance. Like one will only be like in most cases, one will only be a pretender
Mm.
to renounce in this age. So I was just reflecting how it's a great opulence to not be attached or to renounce.
Mm. Yeah, I guess I could only comment that it is very difficult to renounce. Yeah, I mean, this, Kali Yuga started 5,000 years ago, right? And it's said it will last another 400, a little over 400,000 years. So, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of Kali Yuga, and Yuga cycles are long. So, very, very long. So, it's a slow, very gradual process. Um, and it starts all over again, and the circle continues. So, but it is said that we're very lucky to live in Kali Yuga, actually. Um, Satya Yuga is the first yuga, the period of truth, Dharma. Um, there's a description in Bhagavatam, there's a cow with four legs.
Mhm.
And at the beginning, Satya Yuga, the cow has all four legs, like the pillars of society, of goodness are all on the ground. And then as the Yuga cycle continues, you get into the next one, into Dwapara Yuga, one leg gets taken away. You get into the next Yuga, Treta Yuga, two legs get taken away. And then in Kali Yuga, there's only one leg that it's standing on. And I forget which one. Is it Truth, Prabhuji? Is Truth the one that it's still standing on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's
Mhm.
Dharma, there's Truth, there's Cleanliness. Maybe not Cleanliness.
Cleanliness, austerity,
Austerity.
mm,
So,
uh,
so,
mercy,
mercy, mercy. So
and truthful.
mercy, truthfulness, Dharma, and austerity.
Dharma has these four legs.
Mm. So,
So four legs,
go ahead, Proji.
yeah, four legs are austerity, mercy, truthfulness, and cleanliness.
Ah, okay. I was throwing in Dharma. I was.
These are the four legs of dharma. So dharma is
Oh,
like a bull who is standing on these four legs. Any leg is broken, dharma is broken.
mm, very good. Thank you, Proji. Yeah. So, yeah, this description of the four legs of Dharma, and in Kali Yuga, there's only one that's standing on. So it's like, I guess all these descriptions of Kali Yuga become, it's like, well, there's things are degrading. There's sort of a description of like this downward trend to civilization, and it can make it seem like there's a very bleak outlook associated with Kali Yuga, or something like that, right? Like, oh, it must not be such a very good thing to be alive in the Kali Yuga. It's so unstable. Um, but it's actually described in the opposite way that, beings are very lucky to take birth in Kali Yuga. Um, like you're speaking about how it's not even, it's taught that you should not try to renounce in this age, where in other times people could do that. But now it's like we get it gets taken very easy on us, right? Um, it's like, well, you don't need to do all these things that people in the past have done. It's actually very kind of a simple thing. You have a simple spiritual job to do. It's you don't have to overly complicate it. Um, and chanting the holy names is like
Mm,
um, the method for
mm,
the Kali Yuga, right, as it is described.
mm,
And so there's not a need to learn different types of sacrifice or rituals that are very can be very complex, or meditate for very long stretches at a time by oneself, completely renouncing everything. um it's described to you, it's there's just no need for that. You can sort of live your regular life, right, practicing karma yoga as it's described,
mm.
and just it's like sing with people, be with devotees. And so, yeah, in that sense, it's, we're told by many sources that, we are actually very lucky. This may be an age where things are, you know, not as good as they have been, certainly not as good as they could be. But, we're lucky to be alive in this period. It's actually a, a mercy, that's given to us.
Okay, so what do we do with the other parts discussed today?
Well, let's see.
Let's
I
see.
feel like I feel like a lot of these things connect together, right?
Yeah,
Being
yeah.
free from anger and material desire, self-realized, self-disciplined. Um, I guess one point to be made, especially as we're talking about Kali Yuga and the Yuga Dharma, which is, the chanting of the holy names. It seems like, I mean, from what I understand, Prabhuji, I think the teaching is that self-discipline comes more of itself
Mm,
when like when we engage in bhakti
amazing.
practice, in yoga practice. It's not like, oh, I have to cultivate my self-discipline and be very, it's like you just sort of, you just begin, right? And so the goodness of the practice overtakes the other things that we otherwise would be working so hard to rid ourselves of.
Amazing. It's a wonderful point.
Mm.
It's like if we just start practicing, self-discipline will come. I mean, we are forced to discipline ourselves. Otherwise, we cannot practice. So it's like a gift, the gift of the process. I agree fully. We're not
Mhm.
making endeavor to discipline ourselves. It's just we have to do what we have to do. do, do what we want to do and ends up in disciplining ourselves naturally.
Mm. And the last part is constantly endeavoring for perfection.
It is amazing.
Mm. Mm.
That shows that how a devotee is very, this shows a devotee's eagerness. Like I have seen somebody who wants to start a business, they're like constantly trying to grow their business, a shop, or like those who get a new job, they're constantly endeavoring to excel in their new jobs. Everyone is trying to constantly endeavor in certain direction. But for somebody for whom the priority is self-realization, we'll see them constantly endeavoring in that direction. But they are so eager and they just want it. They want it badly. It's like that the greed is there, transcendental greed. And, and they show by their examples, these personalities. See, either we have to endeavor somewhere. Either we are endeavoring towards attachment, material desires, and that linger and other things. But if we are not doing that, then we are investing here.
Mm. Yeah, we're always putting our effort into something. Yeah. Sometimes we don't realize that,
Mm,
you know, that that we always have to be doing something, and that, we're really always really always is a goal in
mm,
mind, even if
mm,
it's I don't want to do anything or
mm,
something, something like that. Um, that's still a goal, and we
mm,
still work towards that goal, whether
mm,
we realize it or not. And
mm,
yeah, just amazing to consider those who are constantly endeavoring,
mm,
constantly endeavoring. Um, 'Cause very difficult. Growth is a very difficult thing, it's accompanied by a lot of pain at
mm,
times, um, challenges, and it's said that, challenges are actually opportunities, or obstacles in life are really opportunities.
mm,
And if you see it that way,
mm,
that is, um, a very helpful tool, for progressing in life, and certainly on a spiritual path. And so I suppose it gets easier as it goes along, in that sense that, as someone is endeavoring, in life for perfection, they keep meeting different challenges, you know.
mm,
And even though the challenges get greater as you go along,
mm,
um, with added responsibility and added, it's like the more you know, the more one, knows, understands,
mm,
um, the higher one gets, the farther they can fall, I suppose is, the metaphor. But despite the fact that it does get more difficult, right, as you go along, there's sort of like an ease that comes with it. It's like the very nature of endeavoring becomes easier. One's ability to
mm,
face a challenge becomes easier, because those things are seen more as opportunities, more as mercy, more as good things. And so, one sort of starts to go faster and faster toward those things. And then it doesn't, it's like it doesn't feel like it's getting more difficult at all at a certain point.
mm. It's beautiful realization, Prabhuji. So it may not be becoming difficult, it may become easier, but constant endeavor is there. Endeavor means the
Mm.
time is going in that direction, the energy is flowing in that direction. It may be
Mm.
because we like to do it, it has become easier for us, but then that's where our attention is going, in a way.
Mm. Yeah. And even, to be endeavoring all the time feels difficult, I think that's one of the
Mm,
things that I notice about devotees, that, I always I admire it when I see it, and, very so, just commendable the way that people act, the way that they're just always going after it, Um, where, I mean, the end of a day, I'm like, I just, let me rest, let me turn my brain off, let me do this, uh, and it's just like that sort of thing. Just, I guess, it lessens, over time, when you do practice. And when I see devotees who are just constantly engaged, just always,
mm,
that eagerness you're talking about, it's always there, and certainly takes a lot more to make them tired. And yeah, you see it play out. Mm.
okay.
Yeah. So that's those people are assured of liberation in the supreme and inner future.
They will be liberated, we'll keep doing our podcasts. Yeah.
Sounds good to me, Proji.
Okay, thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining. We'll see you next week. That will be the last session of our fifth chapter. Bye for now.